8 toxic manipulation tactics used in everyday life. In this video, we'll break down 8 psychological manipulation tactics that people use more often than you think. Once you understand these, you'll start noticing patterns that were invisible before. And that awareness changes everything. Gaslighting. Gaslighting is one of the most well-known manipulation tactics, yet many people still struggle to recognize it when it happens to them. Gaslighting occurs when someone makes you question your own perception of reality. It doesn't always involve obvious lies. Often, it's subtle and repeated over time. Imagine this scenario. You clearly remember a conversation. You bring it up calmly, expecting a normal discussion. Instead, the other person says they never said that. They insist you're remembering it wrong. They sound confident, calm, certain. At first, you assume it's just a misunderstanding. But then it happens again and again. Over time, you start second-guessing yourself. You begin wondering whether your memory is unreliable. You hesitate before speaking. You start relying on their version of events instead of your own. That's how gaslighting works. It slowly weakens your trust in yourself. The term gaslighting actually comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife into believing she's losing her sanity by subtly changing things around their home and denying that anything changed. The concept has since become widely recognized in psychology and relationship studies. Gaslighting often includes phrases like, "You're overreacting," "That never happened," "You're being too sensitive," "You're imagining things," "You always twist everything." Individually, these statements might seem harmless. Repeated over time, they create confusion and self-doubt. Research in psychology shows that long-term exposure to gaslighting can lead to anxiety, low self-esteem, and difficulty trusting your own judgment. So, how do you protect yourself? Start by noticing patterns. Pay attention to how you feel after conversations. Write things down if necessary. Trust your emotional reactions, even if someone tries to dismiss them. Gaslighting thrives in confusion. Clarity weakens it. Love bombing. Love bombing feels amazing at first. That's exactly why it works. Love bombing is when someone overwhelms you with intense attention, affection, and admiration very early in a relationship. You might suddenly become the center of someone's world. They text constantly. They call late at night. They give huge compliments. They talk about the future very quickly. They might say things like, "I've never felt this way before." "You're different from everyone else." "I think you're the one." "I can already see a future with you." At first, it feels flattering. You feel special, chosen, and deeply valued. But there's one detail that stands out. Everything moves incredibly fast. Healthy relationships grow gradually. Love bombing skips that process entirely. Experts studying relationship psychology often describe love bombing as a tactic used in narcissistic dynamics and emotionally manipulative relationships. Eventually, the intensity changes. The person who once seemed obsessed with you becomes distant. They stop responding as often. The compliments fade. You start wondering what changed. You replay conversations. You try to win back the earlier version of them. That earlier version was never stable. It was the hook. Love bombing creates emotional dependency. When the attention disappears, you chase the feeling. To protect yourself, slow things down. Pay attention to actions instead of words. Look for consistency, not intensity. Real connection grows over time. It doesn't rush. Before we continue, if you're finding this video helpful, consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps the channel grow and allows us to create more content like this. And if you've ever experienced any of these behaviors, you're definitely not alone. Guilt tripping. Guilt tripping is one of the quietest manipulation tactics. It rarely involves direct pressure. Instead, it makes you feel responsible for someone else's emotions. Imagine saying no to a request. The response isn't anger. Instead, the person sighs and says, "I guess I just thought you'd care more." Suddenly, you feel guilty. You start questioning your decision. Guilt tripping works by turning kindness into obligation. It often includes phrases like, "After everything I've done for you," "I guess I'm just not important to you," "Fine, I'll do it myself," "Forget it, It's not a big deal. These statements create emotional pressure without directly asking for anything. Studies in behavioral psychology show that empathetic people are especially vulnerable to guilt-based manipulation. You might agree to things you never wanted. You might apologize when you didn't do anything wrong. To deal with guilt tripping, pause and ask yourself one question. Did I actually do something wrong? If the answer is no, you're likely being manipulated. Healthy relationships respect boundaries. Manipulative ones punish them. Triangulation. Triangulation happens when someone brings a third person into a conflict instead of addressing it directly. You might hear things like, "Everyone agrees with me." "Sarah thinks you're overreacting." "My friends say you're being unreasonable." Suddenly, you're not dealing with one opinion. You're facing a group. Triangulation creates pressure and self-doubt. You start wondering whether you're the problem. This tactic is common in toxic family dynamics, workplaces, and relationships. It shifts the conversation from solving problems to winning arguments. To counter triangulation, keep communication direct. Encourage one-on-one conversations. Refuse to engage with third-party opinions. Clarity removes the triangle. White knight. The white knight appears helpful at first. They offer solutions, support, and protection. However, sometimes the help comes with hidden control. The white knight may create dependence by positioning themselves as the only person who understands you. They step in repeatedly, offering rescue rather than empowerment. Real support helps you grow stronger. Manipulative support keeps you dependent. Pay attention to patterns. Do they encourage independence, or do they reinforce reliance? The answer often reveals their intentions. The silent treatment. Silence can be peaceful. The silent treatment is something different. The silent treatment is when someone withdraws communication to punish or control. They stop responding. They avoid conversation. They become emotionally distant. This creates anxiety and uncertainty. You start replaying events, searching for mistakes. Eventually, you may apologize just to end the silence. That's how the silent treatment gains power. Healthy relationships allow space with communication. Manipulative silence removes communication entirely. To deal with it, set boundaries. Communicate calmly and refuse to chase. Breadcrumbing. Breadcrumbing is when someone gives just enough attention to keep you interested without real commitment. They send occasional messages. They compliment you randomly. They react to your posts, yet they never follow through. This creates emotional uncertainty. You keep hoping for more. Breadcrumbing keeps you emotionally invested while offering minimal effort. Consistency matters more than occasional attention. Before we move on to the final tactic, if you're enjoying this video, consider liking and subscribing. It helps more people discover content like this and supports the channel. The DARVO Method. DARVO stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. And this tactic occurs when someone flips the situation after being confronted. First, they deny the behavior. Then they attack you. Finally, they present themselves as the victim. This creates confusion and shifts responsibility. To counter DARVO, stay focused on facts. Avoid emotional escalation. Return to the original issue. Clarity disrupts manipulation. Psychological manipulation doesn't always look obvious. It often appears in everyday interactions. Recognizing these tactics gives you awareness. Awareness gives you control. The more clearly you see patterns, the harder they become to ignore. And once you recognize manipulation, you're no longer trapped by it. Because understanding is the first step toward protecting yourself.